Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you for coming to the Media TV.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be.
Welcome once more to London.
Thank you very much.
In the last couple of days, obviously you were in London. You escorted Mr. PeterObi to Chatham House, and you went with him to see the Archbishop of Canterbury and also to the stock exchange. How has the experience so far been? You know, the visit to Chatham House. What's your impression of that visit?
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a most rewarding and fulfilling experience. Of course, we're not here on a junket. We're not tourists in London. Here for serious business of the nation. Here to bat for brand Nigeria. So it was interesting, fulfilling, because Mr. PeterObi, His Excellency Mr. PeterObi and Senator Dati Ahmed were able to tick all the boxes to achieve the set objective of being the spokespeople for Nigeria, hopefully for the next 4 years, and be able to sell brand Nigeria out of London to the rest of the world. But at the end of the day, it's about winning the next election, and hopefully what happened in London would have sort of swayed a few minds, a few undecideds the right way. And Peter looked very presidential. He spoke with confidence, spoke as good as any world leader would have done from the steps of Chatham House. So those were the positives, and I think the world sat up to listen and to hear and to see that there's a new kid on the block who's ready to take Nigeria in a different direction, out of, like he will say himself, consumption to production, and having a robust foreign policy initiative that should help us to move from aid to trade.
Okay, do you have any highlights in that, Chatham House event?
Yes, I do. I don't think I'll look at it as highlights, but I'll look at the key points the candidate, Mr. PeterObi, exceptional candidate, touched on. Some of them unifying Nigeria, a task that must be done. It is very important that Nigerians, very diverse people, are unified. We've had a country for so long, but not a nation. So this is time to begin nation building at last. But you cannot unify a nation without security. So security will remain #1 priority for the incoming Labour Party administration, by His grace, if Mr. PeterObi wins, as we're all hoping and expecting that he wins. So, sort of getting security right should be priority, because if you don't do that, if this Northeast is still on fire, Northwest as it is, North Central being decimated, the Southeast, you know what's going on there, and everywhere else. So, he will have to have his hands full together with his team to ensure that the country is stabilized. And then you cannot begin to produce if you have insecurity. Nobody will want to come in to invest in the first place. Every place is not safe. So those are things, you want to go to production, but you can't do that without security. You cannot unify Nigeria without security. You cannot attract foreign investment without security. And when it comes to foreign investment, the incoming administration, by His grace, will be looking at first, and most importantly, Nigerians in diaspora, because they have a lot of funds to invest in Nigeria. At the moment, quite a lot of billions of dollars remitted to Nigeria every year, but mainly those funds are remitted for welfare and for consumption. We want to begin to attract the big ones for production. And the reason why it's important that Nigerians in diaspora do invest for production is not just because they have the money to do so, but because if you have foreigners investing in your country, when the chips are down, when the days, things are not going well, they'll all leave. Like we saw after 2015, they left and they divested, took all their monies out of the country, and there was a run on the naira. So if you're trying to find out why the naira is so highly devalued and at the rate it's exchanging to the dollar at the moment, that's precisely why. But if you have Nigerians in diaspora and Nigerians at home investing at home, they'll be the last to leave, because it's their country. They're not running anywhere. Even when things are not going well, they'll know and have faith that the country will recover, the economy will recover, so we'll be better for it. So that's the way to go, and not the way we've always done. I keep saying that the way to success is to do things differently.
Okay. There are people who argue that coming to Chatham House has become like a jamboree, where you see people come and talk, more or less like a talk show. They make reference to when Bola Ahmed Tinubu came, Kwankwaso, and His Excellency PeterObi as well. And even before now, General Muhammadu Buhari and INEC chairman. Now the question is, these people on the social media space saying Nigeria is still a colonized nation, hence those wanting to govern Nigeria come into London to speak. Do you think that there is an element of truth in what they are saying?
That's one way to look at it, but I think it will be a bit, forgive me for saying so, myopic to say it that way. We live in a highly globalized world today. What happens in one clime impacts on another. When the great leaders of the world want to make powerful statements, they often do it from outside of their geographic jurisdiction and location. You'll find the UK Prime Minister going to Washington, D.C. to announce a big initiative, because when he's there, anything he says matters, carries a lot of weight. You find the President of America, trying to see Putin or to go to China to sort of come up with something great, and then the world sits and takes notice of, and it resonates back home too. So ours is not different. We shouldn't be shy about playing at the big stage. We should not be sort of feeling lack confidence that we cannot play on the world stage. I mean, you saw the candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. PeterObi, not just address Chatham House, looking every inch a world leader, but the wonderful speech he gave, impromptu speech he gave, because he didn't know, I was with him, so I know that for sure, that was going to happen. He never prepared for that speech, but he was persuaded that, hey, Nigerians who couldn't get into Chatham House, and the place, his visit was, sort of oversubscribed, but quite a lot of Nigerians couldn't get into Chatham House, into the town hall, if you can call it a town hall, and they were waiting outside on the steps outside on the streets of St. James's Square. And so he had to address them, and you saw what he came up with. That speech rivaled anything Churchill could have given.
Particular institution have become sort of engaging to the world to show what we intend to offer. And to you in particular, when we say that the government we want to do requires sacrifice of all of us, we must build a better Nigeria. Yes. That's the way it is today. Yes. Because
a productive
we want Nigeria where everyone and each of you will be proud to hold your green passport. Yes! You'll be proud that if you have a problem, the Nigerian High Commission and Nigerian embassies will deal with it. Yes! In a Nigerian where you are treated as a second-class citizen in the world. We belong to this world, and we will show that Nigeria is a great country.
That is why I came to Chatham House. Yes! That is why I came to Chatham House. A town hall different from Bellevue, Lulu, and Bulaba.
Prime Minister Churchill rivaled anything Tony Blair or Cameron or Rishi Sunak, as we know him today, the Prime Minister of this great nation, Britain, can give. So we have a potential president of Nigeria who can rival these guys and outperform them. To me, it was an A+. So let us not be shy or feel inadequate enough to think that we cannot play at Chatham House. By the way, it was Muhammadu Buhari's 2014 appearance at Chatham House that was the turning point for him, that led to his win in the 2015 election. So that's a good omen. And like you've seen other candidates come, it's a great platform to sort of see all the candidates and who they are and what they say and how they appear. You know that some of them are running away from debates in Nigeria. So let's take the game to them in London if that's what it takes. And besides, every nation has its domestic policy and its foreign policy. And often the foreign policy is unveiled abroad. And we have seen that, Mr. PeterObi having these meetings, and telling the world that we want to go from aid, stop giving us aid. Be our trading partners. That's what we want. Partner with us. Let us. We have quite a lot going for us in Nigeria. What you're giving us, just a minuscule of what we can do for ourselves in Nigeria. So that's the way he wants to go. And he has the support of every right-thinking Nigerian on that. So let's encourage him. And of course, we saw the Archbishop of Canterbury. It was a private meeting, so I wouldn't be sort of saying what he said privately here on this platform. But suffice it to see that he was encouraged to know that Nigeria has a youthful, forward-looking team in Mr. PeterObi and Senator Dati Ahmed, and that Nigeria has an opportunity to recalibrate, and that you know, that Nigeria and the next set of leaders hopefully coming in. I'm not saying that he has made a statement as to who he's supporting, and of course you wouldn't expect me to say that even if he did, but he offered prayers for Nigeria, Mr. PeterObi, and all of us in his team. He prayed for the country and wished the country well, a successful election and the post-election exercise, so that Nigeria doesn't get into turmoil
after his visit. We saw on Tuesday the INEC chairman came, Professor Mahmoud, and the next day Kwankwaso came. While Kwankwaso was taking question, a question was asked about if he would be in a position to form a government with PeterObi. He insinuated that Labour Party is a regional party.
If you have a party which is based on ethnicity and religion, that's the difference between Labour Party and, of course, our party, which is a national party, New Nigeria People's Party.
What's your take?
Okay, I expected better knowledge of Labour Party than the candidate of NNPP exhibited. Labour Party has been a national party in existence for so many years, and indeed produced a two-term governor in Ondo State, in Mimiko, Iroko. So for a former governor of Kano State, a former minister, not to know that, a former senator not to know that, and say Labour Party is a regional party, I'm a bit disappointed. And I wonder if he will say that to the people that came to see the next president of Nigeria in Mina a few days ago. Can he tell the people who were in Jos yesterday, the biggest crowd of any political campaign Nigeria has ever seen, first of all the town hall and the main arena, can he tell them that they came to see a regional candidate and a regional party? What is it saying to Nigeria as to his knowledge of the political terrain? Can he say that? Can he tell the people who came to Kaduna a few years ago to see the presidential campaign of Senator Dati Ahmed, His Excellency Mr. PeterObi? So I think that it's not worth spending so much time on that comment, and the facts speak for themselves. And the Labour Party is greatly and widely now accepted because of the message of Mr. PeterObi that is resonating amongst the people of the Northwest, the people of the Northeast, the people of the North Central, South, Southeast, Southwest. So what the Senator Kwankwaso said sounded very strange to me, and I'm sure to many people.
Okay. Aside Kwankwaso, there is also the comments made by the former governor of the Central Bank, that's the current governor of Anambra State, that is Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, whom you have, in his first comment, you have basically responded to him. 2 days ago or thereabout, he made another comment where he said that PeterObi may actually win Anambra State. Now, which is a clear departure from his initial assertion that PeterObi is going nowhere. So
you brought up PeterObi, and I told you why you were bringing that up. And then you kept on pushing until you finally got the response you were looking for. Today, I will assure you, no matter how you want to draw that 1,000 times over, you won't draw me into that conversation.
Prof, you are my very good friend. You analyzed the election and you thought that the election could go in a certain way. And that's the question I asked. If you still think that the 2023 election is off the hands of the Labour Party, you thought at that time in that piece that you wrote that election is between Bola Tinubu and Atiku Abubakar. That's your analysis.
By piece, I said, I named who it was between this or between that. And that I mentioned that I didn't see the pathway for a Labour victory. That's my prognosis there. And all I can say to you today is that, and I'll repeat it, and I said so in the same piece, that I wish PeterObi the best of luck and let him go and compete as others. We are also competing on the same race with him. We have our own candidate who is also son of the soil, coincidentally from Anambra State as well. And he will do his own bit, get his own votes. Even the same piece itself, I even considered, you didn't point that out, that PeterObi might win in Anambra State.
Okay, my take is simply this, and I've really said quite a lot in the past about this after he spoke, Governor Soludo spoke, is that those who say that PeterObi cannot win are the same people that know that he can win and do also know that he will most likely win, but I'm predicting that he will win by his grace. They are telling you he will not win because they want to scare you, they want to make you jittery, they want to make you believe that voting for PeterObi means wasting your vote. That's all. If they didn't think Mr. PeterObi could win, they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't bother with him. But they are running around, not just the APGA, worried. You find APC now worried about a party they say had no structure, 4 guys in a room tweeting. PDP, if you ask them, PeterObi is their biggest worry. You've just mentioned NNPP. They didn't see this coming, and that's the biggest strength of the Labour candidate and the Labour Party. They didn't see it coming. If they had seen that this was going to happen, they would have done something to stop it before now. This is the golden opportunity for Nigerians to seize and change course. These things don't happen very often. I can't remember in any election cycle that we've had such a golden opportunity to change course. Usually it will be whoever the two parties offered. Whoever PDP or APC or whichever the party, NPP or CPC at the time offered, then you have to choose from the two parties. So this time around it is different. Let us miss the opportunity. This is the only opportunity we have to live up to our potential. Indeed, I can tell you that one of the people we saw, and you haven't mentioned that meeting, and I'll leave it at that, but one of the people we saw in UK did say that Nigeria was operating at 10% capacity. The gentleman, powerful gentleman, was delighted to receive Mr. PeterObi and his cabinet, and and his entourage, with the vice senator that he met. He said Nigeria was operating at less than 10% capacity, and that all we need is a great leadership to begin to do better and move in the right direction. And that's what Peter offers. It is not about PeterObi. It's about you and I. It's about our children, generations unborn. It's about my friends in the north, my friends in the southwest, in the south-south, and the southeast. All of us are in this mess together. There's no region that is not suffering at the moment. So it's not about turn. It is not about tribe. It's not about religion. It's about doing the right thing. And if you ask me, there's only one presidential candidate that has the right message, and not just has the right message, is communicating that message effectively. That's why you see all this hysteria, all this frenzy around him. Okay, it's not because he's handsome or he's tall, he's dark. It's nothing at all with that. It is because not only does he know what the problems are, he's telling you what the solutions are, but above all, not even what he says, because I never look at manifestos. I ran an election, and I kept saying it. I only contested for governor less than about sort of a year ago. I keep saying, don't you look at manifestos. Look at track record. This is somebody that comes with an awesome track record. A track record that took Anambra State from being a sick state to being the great state it is today. Okay? If he could do it then for the state, he can do it for Nigeria.
Are you then advocating that manifesto should be jettisoned?
No, that's not what I'm saying, because there has to be something that people can look back and refer to and then hold you to account when eventually you're there. But what I'm saying is, don't you tell me that Mr. A is not saying the same thing in his manifesto that Mr. B is saying, that Mr. C is saying. Manifesto should only be there as a benchmark, as a reference point for what you will do. Because if you have the best manifesto and you're not able to live up to it, and you don't have the capacity to live up to it, given your track record, it's pointless. What should be more important is who you are, what makes us believe, or what should make us believe that what you say you will do in your manifesto, you will actually do. And the only way we can tell is by what you've done in the past, your track record. And this is a guy that has a great track record. Ran Anambra State till today, more than 10 years after leaving office. Have you heard of the EFCC investigating his tenure, or ICPC investigating his tenure? So that tells you that if you are not corrupt, you are likely to succeed. Because if the president is not corrupt, his wife is not corrupt, his people, the people around him are not corrupt, corruption will come down by more than 50%. He will say that himself.
Okay. So if I come back to the question I asked at the beginning regarding Soludo's comment, what do you think informed these, shift in thought as regards to Soludo's comment?
Okay, I noticed, I saw a few clips of the governor's interview with Shem of Channels TV. I think it was two nights ago. And I noticed that somewhat he has changed his body language towards Mr. PeterObi. He has changed his posture towards Mr. PeterObi. It's warmer now. It's more positive. I would know what has informed that. Only he will know. But what I can say is that it is more likely that the reality is beginning to set in. He's not blind. I mean, he lives in Nigeria. He knows what is going on. People are talking to him. And he can see, he referred to private polling as a reason why he gave his first assessment. And I disagree with him completely. Because we've commissioned private polling ourselves, my team. And we've done so for more than 4 months now. And these polls are updated every 2 weeks. The last result came out on Friday, was for the period up to Friday last week, before Chatham House, before the Stock Exchange, and before Jos, before Kaduna and Mina. And what we find from the result is that there is very deep penetration now in the Northwest, and even deeper in the Northeast. Not Central, you suspect what the results are. So when he referred to the results he's seeing, I was wondering which organization is doing the polling for him, because you have to engage the right, reputable polling organization to have the right results, and because you have to look at their track record. And we know who we have engaged to work for us. And this is not playing to the gallery. We've not released our own results. They are only internal to help us with strategy, to know what to do. And a result of those polls that we're seeing is what is now reflecting in those rallies you're seeing in the Northwest and North Central and Northeast.
In Anambra State, obviously both of us are from Anambra, and what would be your assessment to the performance of the governor that is less than 1 year in office? Do you think he's doing well, as you would have thought, considering the fact that you actually ran that election against him in that state?
Okay, I think he's less than a year in office, and it's too soon a time to judge him. I think I'll give him the benefit of doubt. He comes with a high reputation, great stature, gravitas. So I expect a sterling performance from him. But that expectation is not sort of bearing out now. But like I say, it's too early to begin to judge. And dare I say, when His Excellency Mr. PeterObi, who undoubtedly and by a mile the best governor we've seen in Anambra to date. When he came into office in 2006, he had a slow start too. Don't forget that. It took him a while to sort of plan and to begin to implement the plan. So sometimes you might think somebody's not doing well, but they are planning and getting the tools ready and all the raw materials, etc., before going to the farm. So let us give him the benefit of doubt that he's planning and that you know, our expectations will not be dashed. I personally want him to succeed. It is very easy to understand that. My only state I have is Anambra State. I will derive no joy in seeing him fail, in seeing an Anambra that will not work. It is better for me that Anambra works under a Governor Soludo, that even I am governor and that I fail. I don't care who got the governor is. I didn't run so that it must be me. It was never my turn. It's not an inheritance. It's not, my mother was governor, so I know what it feels like to have a governor in the house, in the home. But that wasn't the reason I contested. I contested because I felt things were going wrong. I felt I had all the answers. The voters thought otherwise, and elected somebody who is supposed to be better than me. So I'm praying for him that he succeeds. That's what I want to see. If he doesn't succeed, then we'll see.
Well, you know, just like you said, we are praying that he succeeds. But obviously, that election came, as you said, the voters took someone else. If you look at your manifesto then, and look at what is happening now, if you were to be the governor now, where would you, in the last 10 months, have concentrated based on the manifesto that you had during that election?
Okay, I thank you. But it will be, it's just a waste or an academic exercise to begin to dream of what I would have done if I was governor. I'm not governor, that's the reality. But, you know, having said this, you know, if you're running in an election, there are things you want to achieve in the first 100 days, and I have not seen them being done. Again, like I say, his strategy might be in the medium to long term. Mine, I would have hit the ground running. I'll give you an example, two quick low-hanging fruits. Anambra is filthy. Anambra is very dirty, even dirtier now than it was when we were campaigning. I would have cleaned up Anambra by now. Maybe he's, you know, sort of trying to plan and do it a different way. I wouldn't know. He will know. I would have dealt with the potholes. Those are things, quick wins, you know, you could have done in the first 100 days. He may be thinking of, instead of patching the roads, to, you know, sort of dig them all up and build new roads. I don't know what his policy is. Like I said, it's early in the day, early days yet, and let's not be too hard on him, but to hope that he knows what he's doing, and ultimately we'll have the Anambra we've all been yearning for.
Let me ask this. Your mother worked with PeterObi as the first female deputy governor in the Southeast. The first female governor in the Southeast and the first female governor in Nigeria, right?
Yes.
Now, and in that period of time, the governor was impeached twice. So basically, your mom also acted as a governor within that time. And since, for a couple of years now, obviously, we've not been seeing her, you know, not in the public glare anymore. Many of us are thinking, is she busy with the grandchildren? Many of us cannot forget the Ibuku Ezinifite Oga Ekulumili Road at the point that the governor was impeached. Many people thought that road would stop. But it was very gratifying that time to see her really take to community visiting. And I was at home and I saw her when she came to Ezinifite then to, you know, speak to the people, and everywhere was very electrifying, seeing a woman as a governor of our dear state really coming to site to really look at those projects then. Now, what has she been up to? Why are we no longer seeing her in the public?
Thank you, and thank you for all the compliments, and I'm sure she'll get to see the clip. She's 80 now. She's no longer as young as you'd like her to. Although she's a young 80, a beautiful lady, I'm sure you agree with me. Everybody's mother is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But you also have to understand that her kids have come of age. I'm going to be 60 this year. So if she doesn't give way for the next generation, that's the problem we have in Nigeria today. the problem we're facing now in this election. So you get to a point where you leave the stage, you've done your bit, let the next generation come on board. Because if at 60, her kids cannot, take over, at what point then can the next, even the younger generation, have a role to play? Younger generation that are even sharper, better to achieve. Now, she was governor for a few months, but those were action-packed months. Months in which quite a lot of aggressive development of the state happened. Until today, the Anambra see her fondly as Mama Anambra, and that's good enough for her. It makes her happy that they remember her tenure with such fondness. It makes her happy that she has never been invited to EFCC or ICPC. No file has been opened for her in her tenure, just like I mentioned Mr. PeterObi's tenure, full tenure. Now, the most important reason she became governor, she didn't want to do it. The articles of impeachment actually mentioned herself and Mr. PeterObi to be impeached together. At some point, I don't know, God touched the hearts of the House and they removed her name. So it was only Governor PeterObi, who was not supposed to be impeached, that was impeached. So it was an opportunity for her to step in, to hold forth, and to make it possible, create the enabling environment for Mr. PeterObi to return to office through the legal means and through the courts. And that happened. And she handed over to Mr. Obi. And Peter now became an outstanding and a shining example of what leadership should be, and became the first governor of Anambra State, both of old Anambra and new. Old Anambra was the present Anambra, Enugu State, and Deupry. Became the first governor of Anambra State, old and new, to win re-election. No governor was ever re-elected before him. And it's as a result of what he did, his achievement in office, that you still have the present government as an APTA government. So it's going to be gratifying, and I'm excited, looking forward to an opportunity where this man, who is an exceptionally gifted leader, gets the opportunity to do in Nigeria, reshape Nigeria in the same way he reshaped Anambra State. At the time he became governor, Anambra was a difficult state to govern. There were lots of places on fire. Nobody dared. There was such brigandage. And he came in and stabilized the place. You need a lot of skill to do that. He had no member of the House, of his party, and yet, sort of in the House, yet he was able to hold forth and balance the place and recreate Anambra in a wonderful image. Let's pray, by his grace, he gets the opportunity to do the same thing in Nigeria. And I say this to all of us. This is not about Mr. PeterObi. It's not about his family. They are okay. They are fine. Whether he wins the next election or not, presidential election or not, he's fine. He's a billionaire. It's about us. It's about all of us. It's about our children, born and unborn, future generations. So let us not wait and think we're doing him a favor in electing him. No. He has offered himself to solve the one problem that has eluded us as a nation. And hopefully, not just electing him, getting a leader in him, finally, after so many years of independence, we'll begin to have a nation and not a country. We need a man who is forward-looking. And dare I say, alongside Dati, together, we can build a nation.
You mentioned that you've known PeterObi for over 32 years. Many Nigerians are barely coming to see him, to know him, some couple of weeks, if not days, some months, and some couple of years, less than 2-3 years, except people from Anambra probably who knew him as their governor. Bearing in mind the number of years you've known him, what is it you're going to tell Nigerians and the world about him that they do not know?
All right. In him, you have a different kind of leader. Something and someone who is exceptionally gifted, but completely different. A leader who does things differently. A leader who won't tell you what you want to hear, but will tell you things honestly as they are. It's often said that a great leader is someone with the capacity to take his people from where they are to where they should be. That's exactly PeterObi being described. He's very frugal, so you can be sure that the purse strings will not be toyed with. He's very confident. You've seen that all through the campaigns and when he was here a few days ago in England. He's someone that does things differently. The key to success is to do things, to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. He's doing things differently. There's something you would have noticed about him throughout this campaign. He has never attacked any candidate. None. He has never sought to say anything negative about the APC candidate or the PDP candidate or NMPP or indeed any of them. He will never do that. That's not him. That's what the other people are doing. They call him. He gives them sleepless nights. But one thing they forget, and they should see, and let me help them here, is that this guy is a Teflon candidate. Nothing sticks. Indeed, the more you think you're attacking him, the more you're promoting him. As an example, what happened in Anambra State, we've just been talking about, that was the singular thing that sold him to the rest of the country. Because Nigerians up north now started saying that his candidature was not a Southeast conspiracy to snatch power. Oh, so this is what his people actually think of him. Let's embrace him. That's why you see in Jos, there's so much frenzy, never seen in politics in Nigeria. That's why you see in Kaduna, in Mina, and there are more to come. Other places will shock you. You saw that in Akwa Ibom, in Uyo. So, we are looking at a man who is not tainted by corruption, because if the president is not corrupt, his wife is not corrupt, Margaret certainly wouldn't even begin to think of that, let alone be that way. That's Her Excellency, the wife of the incoming president by his grace. Dati doesn't have time, he has enough. Corruption. In fact, he has a record of being the only senator, sitting senator at the time, that refused to buy his own lodge in Apo legislative quarters. The rest bought. He said, no, these assets are national assets. I can afford to buy this, but I will not. So he didn't buy. What does that say about Dati? He has no time, disdain for corruption. PeterObi has been a governor for more than out of office for more than 10 years. No case in EFCC against him. The ICPC, I mentioned it earlier. So what am I saying about the candidate of Labour Party, Mr. PeterObi? In him, you have a man that I've known for over 30 years, who has always been passionately talking about Nigeria, frustrated about Nigeria, angry about Nigeria, knowing what the problems are and that the solution is very simple: leadership. Have a man that is honest with the people, honest with himself, elect him as a leader. He'll fix Nigeria. And that's Mr. PeterObi.
Have you ever seen him angry?
Honestly, no. No, not at all. How he does it, I don't know. If he's angry when he's alone in private, he's a human being, that will be okay. But I've never, honestly, seen him angry. In fact, the closest I saw him to getting angry was when Dino Melaye was sort of distracting him at that town hall meeting.
Okay.
Yes, I think I remember that. That was the only time, and not because that was a public one. Privately, I can't remember. And that was unlike him. I don't know why, he even spent any second of time replying to Dino unnecessarily. It wasn't necessary to do that. But that was out of character for him. I never see him angry. Yeah.
So when this election is won in the next couple of weeks, what will be the things you would expect him to do in the next 100 days and in the first 1 year?
Okay, the first thing is that when you're in a hole, the best way out of that hole is to stop digging. First of all, whoever wins, and I believe it will be him, and I pray it will be him, I say whoever wins, because I'm not God. It's my wish that he wins, and he's doing enough to win, and the people. And I believe this election will be free and fair. That's why I'm confident he will win. I believe the President Buhari wants to leave a lasting legacy of conducting a free and fair election. And if that election is free and fair, PeterObi will win it. I have no doubt. A landslide, I have no doubt at all about it. And that's what I believe will happen. So, on the assumption that he wins, the first thing will be to stabilize the polity. Come up with the right appointments, because any serious leader will know that he cannot lead alone. You don't know it all. So I expect him to appoint round pegs in round holes and square pegs in square holes, as we say. Go beyond the people around him now, including myself. Go beyond us to source for the right Nigerians who can come in with the right expertise, with a good track record to help rescue our nation. Like I keep saying, this is an altruistic support from me and from the people you see around him. We want, first of all, to win, because if you don't win, nothing can be done. But he will have the free hand. He's not beholden to any godfather or beholden to any of us working tirelessly to get him elected. It's not about him. It's not about us. What I expect him to see is to have the right Nigerians, both at home, within Labour Party, outside of Labour Party, in diaspora, come back to rescue a nation that is failing.
Thank you very much. Chief Ben Etiaba, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you, and I'm delighted to have been on this platform. Thank you for having me, and anything that I can do to actualize this vision for Labour Party and for Mr. PeterObi and for Nigerians, you can count on me that I'm here to do that.
Thank you very much.